As I'm sure I've mentioned in previous videos, and as most fans of Girls Und Panzer know, sportsmanship is a key theme of the show. It's part of what makes it such a wholesome show, and why I regularly recommend it even to people who aren't generally anime fans, or fans of sports shows or movies in general. That said, it's worth taking a closer look at just how intimately this theme is intertwined with the show's story and overall message to the audience. There's enough to say that this will be my first two-part video. This week, we'll focus on how Girls Und Panzer demonstrated sportsmanship throughout the series, and how it used it to set the show's tone and lay the groundwork for what takes place post-season 1. Next time, I'll take a look at how the show's emphasis on sportsmanship evolved, in terms of how it affects the world of Girls Und Panzer, going forward to their film and das finale. Obviously, spoilers ahead, so I highly recommend you watch everything before watching this video, if you haven't done so already. All that out of the way, let's get started. There are plenty of sports shows and movies out there, both anime and live action, and while sportsmanship is sometimes a theme in those, I haven't seen anything else where it's the main theme. From the very first competitive match in the show, this theme is introduced. We're shown the commanders exchanging a bow at the end, which tells us that the institution of Senshiro actively encourages good sportsmanship. Interestingly, we don't see this exchange of bows after every match, really just after the first two, but there's no need to, since it's already been established and showing it every time would be redundant. We know what happens, and that's what matters. Darjeeling's conversation with Miho and the later gift she sends is as much our introduction to the way this is all going to go as it is for Miho and her crew. But it's during and after the Saunders match that we really see how central good sportsmanship is for both the show and the in-universe culture of Senshiro. Kei really is a standout here, and she definitely earned the love and respect of many fans during this match. She knew, after the revelation of the wiretapping, that she had this match won. All she needed to do was to take her entire tank force to aid her flag tank. But she didn't. Because she saw the wiretapping, which remember, wasn't actually against the rules, as unfair play, it therefore was not something she wanted to allow to assist her at all in her win, should that happen. So she only took enough tanks to make it an even fight, content to let things play out from there. Then, after she did lose, she wasn't bitter at all. She was just happy to have taken part in an exciting match. Remember, Saunders is a very rich and large school, and had been considered a favorite to win it all, only to be knocked out in round 1 by a brand new team from an unknown school, fielding a ragtag team half the size of her own. It would be completely normal and understandable for her to at least be a little upset. Except she isn't. Quite the opposite, in fact. Kei has as pure love for the sport as one could have. I'm sure she prefers winning, of course, but that's not the most important thing to her. When she explains her view to Miho, that Senshiro isn't war, and that fair play is important, she's speaking to us, the audience, as much as she's speaking to Miho. You know, looking back on it, between this scene and the later one with Maho, episode 6 might just be the most important episode of the season. A lot of key things happen, and are made clear to us here. But back to the topic at hand, this is where the theme of good sportsmanship is brought to the forefront, though it's far from the last example of it. The Pravda match is also a key to this, since, after our initial introduction to Katyusha, you might not expect her to be a good sport in defeat. In most shows, she probably wouldn't be. This is what makes Girls Und Panzer unique. As competitive as she is, and as unhappy as she is to lose, Katyusha offers Miho a handshake, and says she'll be rooting for her in the finals. Then, of course, get to the finals themselves. Especially given Maho and Erika's dispositions prior to this point, and Erika's hyper-competitiveness during the match, this is another place where you might not expect things to go as they did. Maho was explicitly tasked with crushing Miho and her modified Senshiro style by her mother, and, had she played strictly to win, she would have easily done so at the end of the match. All she needed to do was buy a little time for backup to arrive. But that isn't what she did. While Maho isn't as open about it as Kei was back in episode 6, she ultimately also believes in the Senshiro spirit of fair play, so she accepts Miho's challenge for a duel. It was the most honest way to let this conflict conclude, and when Miho ultimately wins, this is Maho's reaction. Quiet acceptance and respect for her opponent. This is further confirmed when they speak later. All of the tension from before is gone. Maho doesn't display any anger over the loss, and makes no excuses for it, despite having failed in her appointed task and having lost in a massive upset. Even Erika, who has been shown as more openly competitive, and who had the sharpest words from Miho earlier, is in good spirits and smiling. Her "we'll win next time" isn't coming from a place of frustration or anger, it comes from a place of enjoying a well-fought match against a worthy opponent. Sure, there's still a bit of a rivalry there, but this is the good type of rivalry, one with mutual respect, with love of the sport at its core. As an aside, this is why, while I do think the final round in das finale will be Ororai vs. St. Gloriana, there is a strong case to be made that it'll be a Miho and Erika rematch. but we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? There's just something really wholesome about how Girls Und Panzer wholeheartedly embraces the theme of good sportsmanship without any cynicism at all. It's both a celebration of it and a good example for anyone. While yes, by their nature most sports are competitive, it becomes so much more fun for everybody involved when people act positively toward each other and focus on enjoying the sport. It's part of what I enjoy so much about the sport I train in, Ninja, as an American Ninja warrior and its offshoots. While there are competitive aspects to Ninja, obviously, it's primarily seen as an athlete versus the obstacle sport, and everyone I've met and trained with has been very nice and helpful. And in the only Ninja competition I've competed in so far, which I won by the way, I experienced nothing but good sportsmanship from the other competitors. Sports are just better when everyone gives it their all while competing, but for the right reasons. For love of the sport and furthering it, while not letting it get personal, and while being good sports in both victory and defeat. Girls Und Panzer is an exemplar of this. It's also noteworthy that we never get any moments of really blatant bad sportsmanship in this series, not even once. Yeah, there's a little trash talk, and of course that wiretapping incident, but those are very minor things, and one-offs from each person involved. Some people just get a little more competitive than others sometimes. It's not a bad thing, and it doesn't mean there's anything bad about them, especially when you see how they act afterwards. So, now that we've talked about how integral this theme is, next time I'll talk about how Girls Und Panzer goes a step further, showing just what this culture of sportsmanship fosters in the long term, so look forward to that. If you enjoyed the video and would like to support the channel, links to my books and light novels are below in the description. Additionally, check out my Patreon. Among other rewards, such as early looks and new updates for my mecha serial, my light novels, and more, including a very special project I'll be formally announcing here later this month, you'll get to see future videos early. I've also got a merch store now over on TeePublic, so give that a look too. And of course, if you have any thoughts on this video or aspects of Girls Und Panzer you'd like me to talk about, definitely share them below in the comments. I'd love to hear them, and I do my best to read it and respond to all the comments eventually. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. That's all for now, so until next time.